For decades, Toni Braxton wasn't just the voice of a generation. She was the provider, the protector, the peacemaker, and the silent ATM for her entire family. While fans saw the glitz, the Grammys, and the chart-topping hits, behind the scenes, she was drowning in debt, battling disease, and carrying the weight of 6 lives on her back. And now, she's had enough. From family betrayal to brutal bankruptcies to being humiliated on national television, Toni is finally pulling back the curtain on what it really cost to be the Braxton family's backbone and why she's stepping away from the drama for good. She said it with love, but it landed like a life sentence. "Toni, you know when you make it, you can help us. Come on." That was Traci's voice in Toni Braxton's ear, and ever since that moment, Toni's life hasn't really been her own. From a young age, she carried her family, not just emotionally, but financially, physically, and spiritually. And now, for the first time in years, she's finally saying it out loud. Since the Braxton sisters made their dramatic return to TV, one thing has become painfully clear. They don't get along, and Toni is exhausted. For decades, she's been the backbone of the family, the one expected to fix everything, pay for everything, and smile through it all. When their mother suffered a brutal back injury that landed her in the hospital, it was Toni who stepped in as a stand-in parent while their father was off working to support 6 kids. That was the moment she was forced to grow up fast. But what if it hadn't been like that? What if Toni had been able to focus on her own dreams without being weighed down by everyone else's expectations? She doesn't hesitate. She says she would have soared higher. No question. And it's hard to argue with her. Toni Braxton isn't just the most successful Braxton sister. She's one of the most successful R&B artists of all time. 7 Grammy wins, over 70 million albums sold, a debut album that shot to #1 and sold 10 million copies, and anthems like Unbreak My Heart that still hit like they just dropped yesterday. She's had 9 studio albums, and even her latest release in 2020 made waves. But behind the glam and the glitter, Toni was grinding under the pressure of carrying her entire family financially. She wasn't just making music, she was making sure everyone else survived, and the emotional weight of that slowly started to crush her. While other sisters stayed quiet and coasted, only Tamar stepped in to help with the bills. The rest? They just assumed Toni had it covered. For someone who generated over $170 million in record sales for her label, it's almost unbelievable that Toni Braxton ended up filing for bankruptcy. Twice. But that's exactly what happened, and the story behind it is as gut-wrenching as it is infuriating. Despite her superstardom, Toni was being paid literal pennies on the dollar, less than 35 cents per album sold. She was a chart-topping, Grammy-winning machine, yet her royalty checks were barely scraping past $2,000. In 1998, just 8 weeks after filing a lawsuit against her label, she filed for bankruptcy, citing a contract so lopsided it left her covering her own travel, wardrobe, studio time, and even music video costs. The financial strain got so intense that she was accused of trying to hide money by transferring over $50,000 to her husband during the bankruptcy process. And then came the Oprah interview, a moment that was supposed to bring sympathy but ended up crushing her spirit. Toni walked into that studio expecting a lifeline and instead got dragged. Oprah hit her with lines like, "I hear you have Gucci flatware." I don't even have Gucci flatware, making Toni feel small and humiliated on national television. Later, it was reported that Oprah may have even tipped off Toni's label, warning them she planned to speak out. But that wasn't the end of Toni's financial nightmare. In 2010, after being diagnosed with microvascular angina and later lupus, she was forced to cancel her high-paying Las Vegas residency. Insurance didn't cover the losses, so she had to foot the massive bill herself, paying for everything from the lights to the hotels to her crew's salaries. The cost was astronomical, and it led to her second bankruptcy. And just when things couldn't seem worse, the IRS hit her with a $340K tax lien in 2019, followed by another $116K from the state of California. So while the world saw a glamorous icon dripping in awards and accolades, behind the scenes, Toni Braxton was drowning in debt, crushed by a system that profited off her talent and a family that leaned on her like a crutch. And while Toni was out here juggling fame, financial disaster, and an incurable illness, the family she was breaking her back to support wasn't always giving that energy back. And she's finally calling it out. According to Toni, aside from Tamar, none of her siblings stepped up to help take care of their mother after the divorce left her with almost nothing. Tamar may be a handful, but Toni made it clear that when it came to handling real responsibilities, Tamar showed up, helping with bills, car insurance, and even doing background vocals for free. Meanwhile, Trina and Towanda not only expected to get paid for shows and performances, they allegedly didn't contribute anything financially outside of that. Toni revealed she never charged Tamar to perform with her, but Trina? She expected a check every time, even while raising 2 kids and taking time away from other money-making opportunities. Towanda, who worked as Toni's executive assistant, did have a salaried role. But what really rubbed Toni the wrong way was that these sisters, who were already getting paid, still weren't pulling any extra weight. And when Toni brought it up, it caused explosive arguments. She was pissed, and rightfully so, because while Tamar was pitching in without asking for a dime, the others seemed to treat Toni's savings account like an ATM. All this tension reportedly boiled over on set when the sisters clashed over how much everyone was getting paid for their reality show. Toni and Tamar were earning significantly more, and that didn't sit well with the others. Eventually, things got so heated that filming had to be shut down entirely. Toni, exhausted and emotionally drained, stormed off set and said she was done. To make matters worse, she reportedly reminded them that they'd all made a promise to their late sister Traci to stick together and get along, and now, even that vow has been broken. Instead of unity, there's bitterness, resentment, and a whole lot of finger-pointing. And at the center of it all is Toni, who seems to be the only one asking, how much more can one person give? And just when you think it can't get messier, the family drama spills all the way into the public eye. Again. Apparently, things have gotten so toxic that even basic milestones are turning into battlefields. None of the sisters showed up to the premiere party for Tamar and Miss E's cooking show, and reports say a massive argument erupted just days before. Afterward, Towanda threw shade with a cryptic post saying, "To everyone who has distanced themselves from me, kindly stay there." And while she later tied the knot with longtime partner Sean Hall in a quiet Georgia ceremony, with Toni and Trina there as bridesmaids, Tamar was noticeably absent. The tension between Tamar and Towanda has been brewing for years, but during recent filming, it was out in the open. Tamar straight up said Towanda doesn't reach out unless there are cameras rolling, and even missed Tamar's birthday, while Towanda claimed she wasn't contacted on hers either. They both played the "I don't recall" game on camera, but the emotional distance couldn't have been clearer. Tamar even said she stopped engaging with certain energies and chooses peace, while Towanda made it clear she's only focused on her own household. Fans have been taking sides. Some say Towanda's always been jealous of Tamar. Others say Tamar plays the victim. Meanwhile, Toni's caught in the middle, reportedly more fed up than ever. Things escalated even further when Tamar went on a social media meltdown, calling her family toxic, saying she regretted returning to Braxton family values, and hinting she was going back into treatment. She even blocked Toni on social media, and Toni only found out when she tried to tag her sister on her birthday. Tamar clapped back, saying Toni could have just picked up the phone instead of posting for likes. Screenshots of text messages were dropped, timelines were argued about, and fans were left wondering if this family feud will ever end. But one thing is crystal clear. Toni Braxton is done being the glue that holds everyone together while no one holds her down. After decades of being the provider, the peacemaker, the icon, and the emotional punching bag, she's choosing herself. And honestly, can you blame her? If you've got thoughts on all this Braxton family drama, do you think they drained Toni dry? Or is there more to the story? Let's get into it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this with your group chat, and drop your take below.